Arcade Heroes.
Hey everyone, this is Adam with ArcadeHeroes.com, and I am making this video to celebrate a milestone that's taken an awfully long time for me to reach, and that is reaching 10,000 subscribers on YouTube.
And the crowd goes wild.
Yay!
Now I know for a YouTube gaming channel that's not impressive, since a lot of them out there, most of them out there, have hundreds of thousands or millions and all that, but I'm still happy to have achieved it, so thank you for subscribing and for following what we do. Now, the Arcade Heroes blog has been around since 2006, and while I am the owner and operator of that now, it didn't start that way. It was started by somebody within the industry who shall remain anonymous so that they don't lose their job, as they still work in the industry. But they wanted to create a resource that still covered arcades, or that actually covered arcades, because a lot of the mainstream gaming sites out there and game magazines, when there used to be those things, or game websites that are like gaming magazines, they just rarely cover arcades. And when they do, they often don't have a lot of the background knowledge that's needed to properly convey all the information that's needed for what the arcade industry does. And so that's why Arcade Heroes exists, is to get that news and that information out there. Now, I jumped into Arcade Heroes in April 2007, and there was a few other writers on the site at the time, and later that year I started up a YouTube channel, which is this one, and eventually, as I took ownership of the Arcade Heroes website, then I just molded it into the same thing, and so it's just been a slow burn up towards this point since then. And I guess I should maybe do more stuff of begging for likes and subscribes, whatever, but I don't know, that's just not me, really. And so to celebrate this milestone today, I'm going to go back to something that was the very first video on my channel, back when I had a really crappy digital camera and no tripod, and I had a lot to learn still about making videos, and I still have a lot to learn about making videos, of course, but I like to think that I've improved a little bit since then. And that is with this game right here called The Act, an interactive comedy. And so I first found out about this game back in 2007 when another Arcade Heroes writer by the name of MetaFox had got some information on it and published that. And so this was a game designed by a company called Cicropia. They were based out of Massachusetts, and they had hired some ex-Disney animators, and that's where, as you'll see, the animation in this looks an awful lot like a Disney cartoon from the 1990s or so. And they put this game together to create something that was kind of like Dragon's Lair, but more detailed, more dynamic, feeling more natural. Because the problem with Dragon's Lair is that you could memorize all the patterns easily, and then before you know it, you were just beating the game and it was kind of boring. With this game, it originally shipped with a knob, a spinner controller, and depending on how you turn that, it would change the intensity of your reaction to any given scene. And so you have to adapt to that depending on the scene a lot of the time, but it makes it have a very unique feel. It's unlike any other arcade game out there. Even these full motion video games, or like I have another one right here. That's also another rarity, the Deathstalker game, which I've also covered on this channel. But today, again, is the focus on this because that was the first thing that I filmed, the first arcade game that I filmed. Now, this company did attempt to do a wide manufacturing release. They did have the game tested, I believe, at a bowling alley and somewhere over there in Massachusetts or New Jersey, and they did it with a company called Betson. But Betson wanted to add some things to it, like a scoring system and some other things that you normally would find with arcades. And from what I heard, the bowling alley wasn't really that great of a spot to be testing out something this unique in, and so it essentially failed the test. And the company, instead of going at it themselves, they did produce some what are called kits, just computers with artwork and the controller, and they gave out a lot of those to the people who were on the design team. They made a total of 40 kits, but 10 of them they put up on eBay for sale. And I got very lucky in finding out about that, and I bid on one of them. I can't remember which one it was, but I guess somebody else's sniping software had failed them, and so I was able to get it for a much lower price than I thought I would have. And so I can't remember how much it was now. I just remember that I got a good deal on it. And so got that kit, and in the original video that I have showing this, it was just the kit. I didn't have a cabinet at the time, but I had an old CRT monitor, which was still pretty common in those days. But eventually I picked up this Beachhead 2000 cabinet, and I yanked that computer out of it and threw the ACT in there. I guess I didn't do the best job converting it because I'm not a professional cabinet maker, but it's still been fine. And I've had this at my arcade, which I launched back in 2008, then known as the Game Grid Arcade, and now it's known as Arcade Galactic. A whole other story as to why I had to change the name, but I've had it here in my arcade since then. And out of places out there that have this on location where you could go and find it, I'm only aware of one other one, and that's Arcade Odyssey down in Miami, but they do rotate games out, so I don't know if it's out there on their game floor right now, but it has been in the past. And so Miami or Salt Lake City are the only two places that I know of where you can go and play this game. Now, it was released to the iPad back in I want to say 2012. I can't remember exactly, but it was a limited release. I'm not sure why they didn't keep it up there, and so I do not believe you can get it anymore on that platform, at least last I checked. But maybe they did a re-release, I don't know. But I'm going to go ahead and play through this. Now, I did attempt to do a direct capture of this because there hasn't been any. This uses VGA. There's no DVI or HDMI ports on the computer itself, and just my newer capture hardware does not work with that, and so it just came up blank on the screen. And so I'll just have to do what I've done in the past. I do have another video where I played this game and just pointed the camera at the screen, and so that's what we'll have to do again. But I'll talk about that, maybe some Arcade Heroes stuff in the meantime. And so, but first, let's take a look inside the machine, and then we'll get into some gameplay. Now, as mentioned, this was originally a Beachhead 2000 cabinet, and so the Beachhead PC had been there. But this is one of those 40 kits that was sold, and so as you can see, it's just a customized PC case. But they also had their own custom JAMA board that is used to interface with the coin door hardware and the start button. And so one time in the past I had an issue with that. I thought the board had failed, and when that board fails, then this game will be unplayable, unfortunately, except for maybe on free play. But it does control the start button as well, so wish there was a workaround for that. But yeah, otherwise it's just a generic PC setup and a rat's nest. I mean, most of these wires don't do anything. Even the audio, I had to just plug some regular standard speakers into that for the audio to work. So it might be a little hard to hear. Hopefully it won't be. Okay, so I'm going to play this with just the normal camera mic instead of my lapel mic, because I don't think you'd be able to hear any of this game with the lapel mic. Fortunately, the audio has always been very, very quiet. And even though I've tried different speaker systems, and it would be better if the original speakers had worked with it, but unfortunately it just wasn't the case. And as I mentioned, this used to have a spinner controller, but that died soon after I got it, and then the replacement hardware I got for that died too, and it just burns through spinners. I'm not sure if that's a USB issue or what the deal is, but I'm currently using a trackball, which actually does make the game slightly harder, but still playable. I've been able to beat it, but I haven't played this in a long time, so we'll see how I do. And so you are Edgar. So as I mentioned, by moving the spinner or the trackball, it controls your reactions. Now, if you want to, you can be too bold and jump on her by going all the way over. But lady's going like that. So if you screw up, it will generally give you a tip as to what to do to get things right. Now, of course, you could just sit like this and she'll look at you and eventually she'll just see that you're disinterested. Me? So you just need to use little movements. Adjusting my jacket is cool, I guess, for the 1930s. And then if I go over a little bit, I can start grooving a little. So that kind of gets her interest. And she moves around. This is kind of where you want to stay. So she really gets with it. And just another little move over. And huzzah! The winner is you. Well, that scene right there just makes it better than Dragon Slayer, in my opinion. And this is far more entertaining. Now this scene is a little bit tougher to do. So you have to go back and forth, get your boss in the window, or back inside. Go back inside. Don't worry, he's working. See? Just go back inside. It's just a mistake. I was cleaning the glass with my hand. Why my brother is being lame. We're working, I swear. But you don't want to go too hard on your brother there, because otherwise he'll start crying. It's kind of weird. Yes, yes, yes. Just go back inside. Thanks. So, to be honest, this game's never gotten a lot of play. It got more play back in the day when first my arcade. But don't kiss her. Oh, I guess you can't. These days, it doesn't get much play at all. Lazy bum. It's not possible, but I'm pretty sure the clock said that. Oh wait, I guess it was only like 2 something. Good thing they caught that. Aha! Now you have to blend in. This is where the act comes in. The interactive comedy. Fortunately, the guard's dumb. Doesn't notice they just threw you out. So by going over to the right, you react. Just do a little laugh, chuckle with the other doctors, then go back to the left to just have a smirk on my face. Ha 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 ha! Real good one, old doc. Well, thank you. Now he's saying something more serious, so I have to make myself look serious by going to the left. I wonder if they ever wrote a script for what he's actually saying in here. Forward to the right, slap it back. Hey, you're okay. You must be a real surgeon. phlebotomy. Quite the bathroom visit, or brain transplant, that is. Hope you went onto the right floor. Oh, hey! Hello, nurse. Remember the Animaniacs? Aren't you supposed to do some doctoring things? So you go to the left to work up your courage. And then you go, whoa, work up your courage a little bit more. That one's not too hard. One of the hardest parts of the game is coming up, and that's, you'll see. Do you have a heart? I guess you do. Good thing you didn't ask any questions like all those commercials tell you to do. Now it's time to be a real doctor. His methods are unusual but effective. Well, it's not Casablanca, but so this does use audio cues to help you know if you got something right. Again, you want to be careful not to go too intense, not sit there gawking. Just need a plate of spaghetti. Oops, no, sorry, just adjusting my jacket. I think you don't have to say anything. Sometimes you just kind of have to sit there and just don't overdo it. There's a fake flower. Very nice. Really? And now here's where one of the hardest parts of the game come in. So this one is a lot easier with the spinner controller, but with the trackball, it just doesn't always seem to work because you have to do the heimlich maneuver. But it's really finicky. It's getting more purple. Supposed to be able to lift him up. Come on. I think it's because the trackball is just not as accurate. Maybe not gonna work. I think he's gonna die. It's just his face. Well, I got one more chance. There we go. Hi. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Thank you. You too. Just have to get distracted on in the middle of it. There's that sweet spot. He's dead. Died again. Why didn't you come here when I needed you to... The security guard got done as well. It's fine. Alright. Let's get another chance. Oh, come on. The hardware hadn't burned through the spinners. The funny thing is, even the last scene of this game is not this hard. Yeah, you deserve it. Older footage of this game to show you the rest of it, because I don't think I'm getting past this. I'm gonna have to see if I can find a different spinner, like a turbo twist, and see if that works for this. I'm doing the same thing that I did before when he worked. I can turn on anything you'd like to play if there's something. Well, maybe I get to my arcade. There's been people coming in, looking at stuff. It's not that hard. It shouldn't be that hard. Down on his gut, dude. I don't get what it wants you to do there. It's like whatever. It'll fall off the window. Well, that's the act. Sorry I couldn't get this to work, but again, it's this wasn't made for a trackball, and I think they wanted very precise movements. I remember on the spinner, it was a movement just kind of like this, just back and forth, like you're trying to grab him, and so you're supposed to like pull him up enough and then move forward really fast and then go up. But I think it's just that this trackball doesn't have that sort of resolution to be able to get it down right. So yeah, if you ever do find yourself in Salt Lake or Miami and come across this game, it's fun, and like I said, hopefully I can get a working spinner for it at some point, and you can fully enjoy it. But I'll slap in some footage of what the end of the game looked like here. The resolution will be crappy. But again, thank you for subscribing to Arcade Heroes, and we'll have more stuff coming your way, covering all sorts of arcade games, coin-operated arcades. And spread the word. If you enjoy what I do here, let me know what you like, what you don't like, and let others know too, and enjoy. So thanks for watching.